During the examination of ammunition, the first and most crucial step in forensic analysis is to ensure that trace evidence which may remain on the bullets is extracted before any invasive or destructive methods of experimenting are performed. Fingerprints and partial prints may be extracted, along with any potential DNA evidence and microfiber samples. The head stamp branding of the ammunition, the dimensions of the cartridge, along the serial code will help officers to create a geographical map as to the whereabouts of the culprit, where they live, or where they may regularly shop. The type of ammunition will also assist officers in specifying the firearm used for a crime if the weapon isn't located. All this information and findings from destructive methods will be recorded as and when on an ammunition usage form to ensure the chain of continuity is secure, evidence is reliable and useful in court, and to keep track of all the analysis discoveries. Destructive methods are used after all other means have been undergone and may vary depending on the nature of the ammunition. Damaged ammunition can prove to be fatal, and therefore extreme caution should be taken when handling and during analysis. The risk of forensic analysts cutting themselves on expelled cartridges is high, so all blood and germs must be wiped from the cartridge using biohazard solution in an ultrasonic bath and wearing resilient gloves during handling. Using microscopy, intricate details such as impressions made onto expelled cartridges from the firearm, which act almost like a serial number, allow forensic analysts to match the markings to a specific model of a firearm. To test this, firearms experts may be required to fire test cartridges, preferably spare ammunition found at the crime scene, using the confiscated weapon or a reference firearm, which will be performed within a shooting range, or using a secure firing device if there is a greater risk of backfire. In the event of a firearm being located and transported to the lab, forensic analysis becomes much easier in all regards. With a specific firearm, it allows forensic analysts to track the firearm back to a specific buyer and gun retailer through the serial number, which is unique to all issued firearms. A forensic analyst will be able to use a microscope to read the serial number to link back to a potential culprit. In some cases, the serial number may be ineligible, either from natural conditions, accelerating erosion of metals, or through purposeful attempts to obscure the identifier. In these circumstances, a variety of restorative measures can be used to make the serial number more readable. One of the most used methods for restoration would be electromagnetism, specifically magnaflux. Firstly, the firearm is magnetized, which causes magnetic attraction to disordered fractions of the firearm where compounds may have been used to obscure the serial number of the weapon. The firearm is sprayed with oil, which contains colored iron particles, and these particles are attracted to the distortions in the metal of the gun frame, which are then set into the rivets of the serial number etchings to reveal the serial number of the weapon. Another method forensic analysts may use is chemical or electrochemical etching, which involves the removal of chemical-resisting patterns drawn onto the firearm metal substrate base. The electrochemical etching removes materials using electrodes, which are formed into specific shapes as cathodes, while the object itself, in this instance the firearm, serves as an anode. The acid-based etching solution attaches itself to the distorted segments of metal on the anode, which will submit an attraction force to the cathodes, resulting in an electrochemical reaction, accelerating deterioration of the affected areas. After this process, the forensic analyst will be left with a visible serial number of the weapon. It should be noted, however, that electrochemical and chemical etching are destructive methods and will typically be used as a last resort and when all former forensic evidence has been finalized. Another method that may be implemented is ultrasonic cavitation, which involves the process of introducing the firearm to an ultrasonic bathing house filled with biodegradable ultrasonic cleaning solution, whereby extremely high frequencies are exposed, causing the formation of billions of minute water bubbles. The implosion of these bubbles removes grime, residues, and also metal distortions, which, after frequent exposure, reveals the obscured serial number of the firearm. After this process, the gun is typically lathered in a gun lubricant which removes any remaining aqueous substances that may further erode the firearm's metal frame. This method is commonly used for firearm maintenance and is less destructive than other means of restoration. The first process of forensic firearms analysis would be identifying the type of firearm, whether it be a pistol, rifle, shotgun, or even submachine gun. It must also be noted to specify how they operate. For example, revolvers may operate under hammerless action or even automatic action. This is vital knowledge for forensic analysts to understand to safely handle, operate, and examine the firearm. Components of the firearm, such as magazines, are also accounted for in the analysis process. If a firearm is unable to be accurately classified, analysts may refer to respective firearms recordings, literature, and databases, and consider whether they have been modified or are manufactured individually. Forensic analysts will also be on the lookout for the serial number and whether this may have been tampered with to obscure its identification, brand of firearm, respective ammunition and their brandings, caliber, barrel length, and making note of any potential modifications which may have been made. The most commonly used weapons for crime are pistols and revolvers, as they are readily concealable. In the case of revolvers, firearms experts will be looking for the distinction in how the gun operates. Is it a double-action or single-action revolver? Is it a hammerless or hammered revolver? What caliber is the revolver? The same process is taken for pistols in determining the brand, the caliber of the firearm, and whether the pistol is an automatic or single shot. In the case of rifles and shotguns, it must be determined which firing operation it uses. In the event of a modified weapon or homemade firearm, forensic analysts will attempt to link the gun to a specific caliber, and if officers have doubts about the safety of the firearm, it may be fired remotely or simply not fired at all.